Okay, glory to God. Welcome. Yes, I see someone raising their hand. Maybe they're just testing, perhaps. Well, welcome everyone. And you are raising your hand. Do you want to ask a question or it's just okay? All right. Okay. So welcome and thank you once again for joining us for Empowered and Prepared, Understanding Today's Immigration Landscape. My name is Pastor T or Teresa Dangwa, and I am honored to be your host today in this dialogue that is very timely on behalf of the Diaspora Women Arise in collaboration with the dialogue with Pastor T. We are grateful that you chose to be here because immigration is not just a policy issue, it's personal to all of us. It affects families, livelihoods, stability, and peace of mind. So today's conversation was created for one simple reason, and one reason only. Policies are shifting, and our community deserves clarity, not fear. So we are not here to make you scared, but we are here to help inform you so that you can make informed decisions. Before I continue, please allow me to pray. Father, I come before your throne of grace. I thank you because you are holy. I thank you because you're awesome. I also thank you, O God, for the opportunity to serve and also to be served. Father, we commit this time into your hands and we say, Lord, have your way. Guide us, oh God. Grant us the wisdom that we need, oh God, and the clarity in which we need to speak in. Oh Father, we thank you, oh God, for opening each and every one of us hearts, oh God, and our minds, oh God, to be able to receive that which we need to receive, oh God, so we may make informed decisions. We commit our lives into your hands, oh God, and always we decrease so you may increase. It is in the name that is above every name, Jesus Christ, that I pray. Amen and amen. Glory to God. So there is a lot of information for that is circulating.
Pastor T, before you go further, there's somebody that has their mic unmuted. Please, they are disturbing the conversation. Could
Okay,
you
sorry
let
about
them?
that. Let me see.
It's move
Can
Pecky's phone,
Let me
iPhone.
see if I can. Can everybody please mute yourselves? I think they've muted. Oh no. Can everybody please mute your phones? Because I'm not able to see them on my end.
Okay, they've muted their phone. I think you
Okay,
can
thank you.
proceed.
Thank you very much. Okay. So, as I was saying, there's a lot of information that is circulating in the news, on social media, and therefore confusion is also bound to be rampant. We are hoping that in this discussion, in this dialogue that we're going to have today, that we may bring some clarity on certain things so that all of us can make informed decisions. Our goal today is to cut through the noise and provide information that is accurate, information that is practical, and also that is grounded in reality. This is not a political forum, and it is not a space for speculation. It is a space for education, for preparation, and also empowerment. Whether you are currently in an immigration process, or you are supporting a family member, or you are simply trying to stay informed, this session is definitely designed for you. So we are happy you are here. It is designed to help you understand what is changing, to know how you may be affected, and how and also to learn practical steps to stay compliant and protected. So, before I introduce our speakers, I would like to place some ground rules. The session provides general information, not individual legal advice. If you need legal advice, please reach out to your immigration lawyer. We have a lot of immigration lawyers in the Zimbabwean community and representatives as well. And if you don't have any of those, please let us keep. You can send me a message, and I'll be able to provide you with reputable immigration attorneys that you can reach out to. We won't be able to answer case specific questions on this platform. We ask everyone to be respectful. Immigration journeys, as much as we are all immigrants, immigration journeys are deeply personal. So let us be respectful and compassionate with one another. Diaspora Women Arise exists to support and empower immigrant women and their families through education, advocacy, and community dialogue. Then the dialogue with Pastor T. Can you please mute yourself, Kudzi? Please mute yourself. The dialogue with Pastor T creates space for thoughtful, honest conversations around real issues that's impacting us here in the diaspora. So together, we believe that information is protection and that prepared communities are stronger communities. So without further ado, I would like to introduce two of our speakers today. First, we are honored to welcome Attorney Niels. He is a federal policy manager who will help us understand the policy landscape, what has changed, what is under review, and how federal priorities are shaping implementation. We are also joined by Heather, some of you know her, an immigration attorney who will help translate these policies into practical legal realities. What people should be paying attention to, common pitfalls, and preparation best practices. So, to be clear, Attorney Niels will focus on policy and federal intent. Ms. Heather will focus on practical legal implications. Case-specific advice will not be provided. Okay, are we all on the same page? Glory to God. Okay, so the policy landscape. I'm going to give this time to Attorney Niels, if he can take his time to talk to us and to give us what he has prepared, just as an overall of what's going on in the policy landscape. Up to you, Mr. Niels.
Thank you so much, Pastor, and thank you for having me today. This is a very important meeting, conversation, so I'm really happy to be here. As the pastor said, I am a federal policy manager. I practice law, but I'm more on the policy side. And I work with African communities together, which is one of the largest organizations of African immigrants in the country. Now, immigration is such a big area of law, and I would like to maybe set the context when looking at immigration law, immigration policy. There are three big areas that are big areas of immigration policy, immigration law. The first one is humanitarian immigration. And humanitarian immigration includes programs like Asylum, the refugee program, and other temporary programs like temporary protected status, DACA. You might be familiar with some of those programs. The second big area is family-based immigration, right? And family-based immigration is a process through which a family member can petition to have their family member come to the U.S. or adjust status and get a lawful permanent residence or green card. Then the third big area is employment or business immigration. So, and that includes the process through which someone can either self-petition or they can have the employer petition for on their behalf for them to come to the US, either in temporary visa or a permanent visa like a green card. So those are the three big areas. Then there is what we call like special visas, and that includes the DV lottery and visas like a U visa or T visa for victims of crime or trafficking. Um, so that is just to lay the context. Now, in terms of what's happening now, all of these three areas and the fourth area, special visas are impacted. I would say that the big impact or the focus in this administration, and we know that this administration, they made immigration one of their top priority on their agenda, and I want to remind all of us that on day one of this administration, they issued over 20 executive orders related to immigration. I don't remember the exact number, but it was a bunch of executive orders. And then the majority of them, or a good number of those executive orders, had to do with immigration and primarily on humanitarian immigration. In the very early days of this administration, January, and early February, I'll give a few examples, but happy to focus on, any particular questions people might have. We saw a pause on the refugee resettlement program, which is still in effect, although there was a court decision trying to lift that pause, but it has not been lifted as of now, as of today. So there was a pause on the refugee resettlement program, and we know that a very useful program. I think especially in regions on our continent that are affected by conflicts. And I'm originally from the Congo, I should have mentioned that. But in regions like Congo, Sudan, people rely heavily on the refugee resettlement program. And then in our organization, we work with people who rely on that program. What is very unfortunate is that the pause was abrupt. So it was, I think it went into effect immediately. And so we had people that were prepared to come to the US and, they went through the vetting process. And in the last minute, they told them that, hey, there's this executive order, you're not going. So we have people that, sold their house, the property, and then they were ready to come. But last minute, they were told that they will not be able to travel to the US. Big impact there. And other programs like TPS and DACA have also been dismantled. This administration has virtually terminated uh, all the outstanding TPS terminations, and TPS stand for temporary protected status. There are currently six African countries that are designated for TPS, and those include Cameroon. And Cameroon was actually the first to be terminated, then South Sudan, then Ethiopia, and then currently Somalia. Was announced also that TPS for Somalia was announced to be terminated. We are also tracking that. And then so other countries, Sudan as well as TPS. But virtually all the TPS designations have been terminated by this administration. We also have DACA. Some of you might be familiar with it, the Deferred Action for Child Arrival. And that one also, this the DACA program has been litigated, challenged in court for a number of years, but I think they're still processing existing DACA recipients, and new applications are on pause. Um, although there was a court decision, I should mention, I believe in the summer, that also ordered the administration to take in some of the new DACA cases. But, the program has been very uh, problematic or unstable at this point. So that's the first big area. Then, family immigration, we have not seen major changes except recently. Also, I should mention with asylum, because, with asylum, after the tragic, shooting of national guards in DC, the administration has paused all of the decisions on all of the asylum applications. I should mention here that and this is for all asylum applications, regardless of your country of origin or citizenship. I should mention here that they will still accept applications, process applications. In some cases, they'll actually also interview people, but they will not issue decisions. According to the USCIS guidance. And again, as you know, asylum is a big program, and a lot of our community members rely on that program to gain legal status in the country. So asylum decisions have been put on pause. I should mention that. With regard to family immigration or family-based immigration, I think the biggest change
Yeah,
that we're
can you
seeing
hold on a
now,
second for me, Niels?
yes,
Sorry. Um, excuse me. Can you all please mute yourselves? Please mute yourselves so that we can all be able to
yeah,
get to
I think
hear
it's
what's being
named
spoken.
JJ. Please, if you can mute yourself.
Yeah, please mute yourselves. Thank you. Sorry about that, Neil. JJ, please mute yourself.
All right.
JJ, please mute yourself. Thank you.
All right. So, so now let's talk about family immigration. And family immigration, again, is a process through which a family member can petition for a U.S. citizen or permanent resident can petition for the family member to to adjust to permanent residence, have a green card. So with regard to green card applications, we have seen a few changes. One is when you apply for most of the immigration application, there is a concept of um, the discretion that you should warrant a good exercise of discretion from the immigration officer, and that's it's a complex, and maybe Heather will also touch on that, but it's a complex area of law, and I'm not gonna get into that, but essentially you should show that you have good conduct. So in addition to some of the things that, or the conduct that will make you ineligible for a particular immigration benefit, you should show that you have good conduct, that you merit a good exercise of discretion from the officer. And then so earlier on this administration, there was guidance that the when exercising their discretion or looking at that particular factor of the law, USCIS officers should use broad discretion. They should look at so many other things, right? And then so it's unclear how that's being implemented, but especially also when it comes to naturalization application, where you have to show, good conduct or good moral character. Typically, if you don't have any criminal record, then that's a big assumption that you are someone of good moral character. But USCIS said that they will look at so many other things. In one instance, the USCIS director said that they might also interview your neighbors if you're applying for naturalization. Again, I'm just relaying fact here, but that's something that was communicated. But in terms of the family-based immigration, recently green card applications have been put on pause for two categories. One is the first category for people who are applying for green card based on a grant of asylum. The administration announced that they will pause. Basically, the pause is with decisions, not necessarily accepting and processing cases. So they will accept and process your case. And in few instances, they might schedule an interview, but they will not issue decisions. And that was announced, I believe, early summer. So if you're applying for green card based on an asylum grant, you should expect delays with your case. So that's one. Number two, if you are from 19 and this happened after the tragic shooting of National Guard in DC. So USCIS announced that they will pause issuing decisions on green card applications for national citizens of 19 considered or designated higher risk countries. I'll put the list in the chat. I do not have all the countries off the top of my head, but if you are from those one of those 19 countries, you should also expect delays on your application. I want to emphasize that you can still file your application. They will schedule biometrics or interviews, but according to the USCIS guidance, then they will not issue decisions. All right, very quickly, employment or business. Um, so with regard to employment, or business immigration, there is in the first I want to say 6 months of this administration, there was no big change.
Gladys, please mute yourself. Gladys, Gladys, please mute yourself. Ndimlo, please. I cannot see some of them. I cannot see everyone.
Gladys, can you please mute yourself? Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. All right. So now employment to business immigration. So the first 6 months, we did not see any major changes with employment or business immigration area or landscape. But in recent month or weeks, we have seen some changes. We'll talk about that. One is with the H-1B program. Now, H-1B visa is one of the most popular visas in the business immigration or employment-based landscape. And what makes that program or that visa popular because it has been used widely, especially in critical sectors like the tech sector. And for those who are not familiar with H-1B, is a visa that is granted to people who are coming to work to the US in specialty occupation. Again, that's a term of art in the law. And specialty occupation simply means an occupation that requires at least a bachelor's degree in a specific field. So a typical perfect example would be like nursing or doctor or lawyer. So those professions require at least a bachelor's degree or higher in a specific field. Now, a few changes. First, let's start with the proposed changes. When this administration, started, making announcement about their, intent to make changes to the program, there a few arguments that they made. Basically, they said that the jobs that are going to foreign nationals as part of this visa program should go to the American or permanent resident. Now, the big thing is that this program has a numerical limit, or numerical limitation. So it means that there is a certain number of visas that the government can issue in a fiscal year. That number is 65,000. So the government can only issue 65,000 H-1B visas in a fiscal year, and then there is an exception of 20 more 20,000 more visas for people who have a master's degree or higher. So basically, government said that, and then the way the way selection happens is through a lottery system. Now, in recent years, they've switched the lottery from paper filing to now electronic e-registration. So you go on the USCIS website and you are able to register for the lottery. And 65,000 people are selected, 20,000 more for people with a master's degree or higher. Now, this administration made a few proposals. That one, they should get rid of the lottery program, the lottery system, and then give preference to people who are with the highest salary. So if a company pays you more, then you should be given preference over someone who does not get paid as much. So that was the rationale that this administration made. Um, getting rid of the lottery. Now that is still in the works. That proposal has not been it's not in place yet. But that's something that this government this administration want to do with the program. Now the other change that has gone into effect for H-1B program is the filing fee. There are two ways you can obtain H-1B visa. Um, the first way is if you're in the US, you can change your status, apply for change of status. So you can change from student visa or other type of visas to H-1B. The second way is for you to go overseas and apply at the consulate, get an H-1B visa, and then enter the US with an H-1B visa. Now, uh, if you are for the second way, if you're applying for H-1B visa overseas, then you should pay at least $100,000 as filing fee. Um, and yeah, so that's a big change. If you are, and that's why for H-1B, most attorneys are advising H-1B visa holders to reconsider any international travel plan. So essentially, this has gone into effect. Again, if you are applying for an H-1B visa overseas, you have to pay $100,000. There are a few exceptions, but that is the big rule.
What's the nine?
And then also, the administration clarified, I think if a few months ago that is not retroactive, so it does not apply to people who have had H-1B visa already in place. But at this point, if you're on H-1B visa, if you think about traveling overseas or applying for H-1B visa, think about traveling overseas, please, you need to consult with an attorney. And I'm sure maybe Heather will touch on that. Now, so that's H-1B. And then, so for H-1B, if you are in the country adjusting, changing to H-1B visa, there's not been any changes of now. There are proposals. Now, there is another program called the Trump Gold Card. I'm sure you've seen this in the news. So basically, with the Trump Gold Card, as I said earlier, so with employment or business immigration, you can also self-petition. So if you don't have an employer who can petition for you, U.S. employer can petition for you, you can self-petition. And then to self-petition, you have to show that you are the top of your field, right? So if you're a doctor, you have to show that you are the top of your field. You have extraordinary ability. Now, this special gold card, and then it's $1 million. If you pay $1 million, that will be a proof that that you have extraordinary ability, and that you can obtain green card or lawful permanent residence, as someone who has extraordinary ability. Um, Again, it's a very area. If you're thinking about that, you also need to talk to an attorney. There are also other requirements that you need to meet. as part of this program. But the big requirement here is that you have to pay the money. That will show that you have extraordinary ability, but you have to, you have to essentially file the application. And there are other requirements tied to the application. Now, last one, special visas, and we'll also very quickly talk about the travel ban. Special visa, DV lottery. So, DV lottery, I'm sure we've all seen in the news. The Secretary of Homeland Security announced that USCIS will pause the processing, not the processing, but will pause the program, the DV lottery. As opposed to other programs where they're only pausing adjudication or decisions, with DV lottery, they're just pausing everything. So they're not going to accept new applications or registration. So, and that was announced by the USCI, I mean, the DHS secretary. Now, I should mention here that the DV lottery is a very popular program on the continent, in Africa, and in our communities. It's actually managed or handled by the State Department. But here, the announcement came from DHS secretaries. There's some confusion there. We hope that the government will clarify that. But as according to that announcement, they will not accept new application registration for the DV lottery, and that is, we don't know when that will be lifted, essentially. A few changes that they made to the DV lottery, and these are minor changes, but one is that you need to have when you are registering for the lottery, you need to submit a valid passport. In the past, you did not have to do that, but now you have to do that. So you have to submit a valid passport. You also have to pay $1. So it was free, but now you have to pay $1. But $1 can be a lot of money in some of the countries on the continent. But so those are the two changes to the program. But as of now, the program is paused. But this is being a lot of these decisions are being challenged in court, and I should mention this. Whether especially with the H-1B program, the $100,000 fee. I think there's a number of lawsuits filed. I think the last one I saw was is being led by states, and I live in Maryland, and Maryland is part of that lawsuit. So a lot of this is being challenged in court. So it can change any time. All right, so let's talk about travel ban and then enforcement. Travel ban, there's two type of restrictions. One is entry restrictions, and then so the restriction there is that anyone from that country will not enter the U.S. The second type of restriction is a restriction to visas. So, for example, people will not have the will not people from that country will not be granted temporary visa like B1, B2 visitor visa. So, but the latest one that was announced last week or earlier this week, so many things happening, but there are 27 African countries out of 39. So just to shows that this is just to show that this will impact our brothers and sisters on the continent. I should note here that a lot of these restrictions do not apply to people with green card or permanent resident. And also, I know some of the naturalized US citizens are also worried. So this does not apply to naturalized US citizens. Maybe Heather can touch on it for people with like dual citizenship or passport. If you're using different passport, that's a very tricky situation. Always advise to consult with an attorney on that. Last thing is info, and I'll put the list of the countries that have been affected by the travel ban. Um, I'll put that in the chat. Last thing is enforcement. Now, enforcement, I think we see this in the news every day. When this administration took office in January, so they laid out their priorities for enforcement. Three targets. One is people with removal orders. So these are the people who have gone through the process, have been ordered removed by the immigration judge. So they will go after these people. So that's target to priority one. The second priority is people with criminal history. And in criminal history or criminal offense, the administration did not determine or specify which criminal offense, but they said that if you have criminal history, they'll go after you. And then the third category, again, three targets. The third one is people who have entered the country without inspection and have not like, filed anything to either adjust status or change status. So they will go after those people. Now, on the ground, we have seen that they are also targeting people who are not listed, who are not part of the target, the priority target. So I've seen people who are no criminal history, people who have filed, people who entered, lawfully. They're also being targeted. So you know, this is something we're tracking, unfortunately, but and it's making it hard for our communities to know what to expect. I've heard people with pending applications that are worried. We've seen instances where even green card holders or U.S. citizens are being detained. But these are the priorities that the administration have laid out or announced. They mentioned collateral arrest. So if they're going after one of the target and then they're running into someone who's not part of the target, they can also detain that person. But on the ground, we have seen that they've expanded the targets, priority targets to include people with, some legal status, people with no criminal history, or people who have entered the country lawfully. All right, so that was a lot of information. I'll stop here. And this is just an overview. I am happy to dive into any areas that of interest to the group. Thank you again, Pastor. Back over to you.
Thank you so much, Attorney Niels. Greatly, greatly appreciated. Maybe before I give it over to Heather, I just wanted to find out from your perspective, what has not changed that people may unnecessarily be worried about right now, especially with the current policy?
All right, that's a good question. We should note here that, again, I don't want to have a legal discussion here, but um, there are programs, a lot of the immigration programs are part of the law. So it means that Congress created those programs, right? Asylum, or even the DV lottery.
Mhm.
So a lot of those programs are permanent programs created by Congress. So it simply means that the executive office or the executive branch cannot undo those programs. There's limit to the changes that the executive office or executive branch or the administration can make to those programs. So we should be aware of that, especially asylum. Asylum is part of a long-standing program. There is a body of law as part of the asylum program. So I would say, Pastor, that the process has changed for most of these programs, but the substance and what constitutes the program has not changed. For example, with asylum, the definition of asylum is not changed, right? So if you, or the requirement for asylum is not changed. The process has changed because the pausing decisions or adjudications, but the program itself has not changed, similar to the DV lottery program. So they're pausing the program, but we should remember that the program itself was created. There are certain changes that will require, if the government or the administration will make changes, some substantial or major changes to the program, they need congressional approval. It has to go to Congress. We have seen when they attempted, especially with maybe Heather will touch on it, the reconciliation bill that passed earlier this year in the summer that gave a lot of money to the government. And as part of that legislation from Congress, the administration wanted to push for some changes, right? For example, there was one change. I was talking to someone yesterday about it, that they wanted to make maybe we should also talk about work permit. So the asylum related work permit, they wanted to limit the validity period of those asylum related work permit to 6 months. So and and then also but that was removed. So we and thank to all the advocates that work on it. So that proposal was removed from the law. Lastly, on work permit. Now, there's been two big changes on work permit. One for the validity period. So the Biden administration increased the validity period of work permit from 2 years to 5 years. So especially for there are a few exceptions. So like TPS related work permit or DACA. And in some instances, DACA related work permit. But work permit validity period went from 2 years to 5 years. And this administration now is reducing that validity period to 18 months. So that's very big. And that applies to work permit applications or EAD applications filed or pending as of December 5th, 2025. Again, file or pending. So if your work permit application is pending as of that date, then your validity period will be 18 months. So that's one change. The other change is the automatic extension. And this is started also with the Biden administration. So it simply means that if your work permit expires while your work permit renewal application is in process, the government would allow you to retain work authorization for it went up to 440 days. So almost 2 year, a year, right? A year. Over a year, you can continue to work using your expired ID as long as your renewal application is pending. It was timely filed. So this administration got rid of that. So if your work permit expires, if you don't have a renewed work permit, then you will not have work authorization. So that's the big changes to work permit. But I would say, to answer your question, that we have not seen substantive or major changes to a lot of these programs. A lot of the changes now that we're seeing now are only procedural changes or changes, to the process, not the program itself. Thanks.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Now, again, before I let you go, one last question to you, for now anyway. How should communities interpret policy announcements versus actual implementation?
Um, So policy announcement versus implementation. So this is what usually happens, right? So when there is an announcement, let's say from the president, that will be followed by, and then I see a question in the chat here. So it's still, no, it's not 5 years. Work permit is no longer 5 years. It's 18 months now. So it went from 5 years to 18 months. Now, in terms of announcement and implementation, so what usually happens is that when there's a policy change announced by the president, there will usually be guidance from agencies that are supposed to implement those decisions, right? So always look for any guidance from USCIS or ICE or CBP. Those are the agencies that actually implement. So you will see announcement from like DHS secretary or the president or the Secretary of State. But so those are just announcements, but they will usually be followed by guidance documents from agencies that implement those policies. So USCIS is one, CBP, ICE are the other agencies.
Mm. So as soon as the president signs an executive order, for example, soon after he has signed that executive order, is there reason for us to be panicking?
Yes, because most of the time, like they will have also an effective date, right? Like an
Mhm.
implementation date. Like the travel ban, I think it goes into effect early January 2026. So always look for the implementation date. So I think best thing is to consult with an attorney, especially if you know that you or someone you know will be affected, but look for the implementation date.
Thank you. Thank you. Now, let me pause here, Attorney Niels, for now. Thank you so much. I know that it's a lot of information, and to try and disseminate all what has been happening from the beginning of this administration, it's a lot. So obviously, we will need more conversations. But for now, let me just segue into Heather. So I really do appreciate you laying, Attorney Niels, for laying out the policy framework. Heather, I would like to bring you in now and help us understand what this looks like in real life, for real, right? Oh, and because it really is a lot of information, but in terms of the practicality of it, and sometimes policy is shaped in such a language that the laymen may not even understand. I mean, some of our attorneys are also have to really study it as well. So we are hoping that you will, lay it out for us in relation to, in terms that we can clearly understand. So from a legal standpoint, I'm going to just pose a couple questions to you, and then you can go ahead and give us the what you have prepared to let us know, at least from your end. Sorry, from a legal standpoint, where are people most vulnerable right now? If you could address that. And then what mistakes are you seeing people make because of misinformation or delays? Sorry, let me just unmute this person. Please, everyone, tikukumbirawo kuti muzvimutewo vedwe. Ramba namanaka, ramba tichingokubvunzai mute. It's not fair for people who really are vauya kuzonzwa information. So ngiyalixela bakwethu ukuthi mute yourselves so that all of us can get as much as we can out of this discussion. Thank you. So yeah, what are some of the mistakes that you are seeing people making because of misinformations or even delays? And then how important is documentation and consistency in today's environment? And then the fourth one that I hope you can be able to address is when should someone seek legal help, and when is waiting it out risky? Over
Right.
to you.
Yeah. I'm so glad that Attorney Niels went through the most difficult part. Like he mentioned, and thank you so much, Pastor T, for this opportunity. It's always a pleasure working with you. You do so much for our community, and this came at a right moment because we are getting so much communication from different people, that are just concerned about what's going on. And we are also trying to navigate, this environment. There's a lot of
Yes.
unknowns, but hey, we're in this
Mhm.
together. So we are here. Pastor T has provided the opportunity for us to have these discussions in a safe environment. And as Pastor T said, this is not legal advice. This is us just having an informed discussion. There are a lot of attorneys out there. I don't know what to call them, but there are a lot of people out there that call themselves attorneys, and they're giving wrong information. If I tell you some of the things that I've heard, people come to me and tell me, I am amazed. So this is an
Mm.
opportunity for us to just get together, and I don't want to spend too much time going, talking. We want to hear from you. We want you to to be able to answer your questions. Like, Attorney Niels, he covered a lot of ground, and he provided a lot of great information for us. And I hope that this is information that we can take to our communities. I know there's some people that have not been able to come. But anyway, so the very first thing that I am seeing on ground are people that are rushing to file their immigration petitions, whatever they may be.
Mm.
For me, this is very dangerous. You are dealing with a hot potato, especially right now. You need to take care when you are preparing to file your petition. Once it's there, once the documentation is there, you cannot take it back. Okay. And I know some of you, the reason why you file is you want to see that work permit. You want to be able to work, which is understandable, but it's not a good thing to just file. And it's not a good thing to just file because you heard that somebody had their asylum approved. You don't know why they had their asylum approved. Your situation is not the same as theirs. Another thing that I see that people do is their stories sound almost similar to someone else's. And I'm telling you, USCIS is going to pick that very quickly. Okay. So before you do anything, think about the legal implications of what you are doing. You are likely to be charged with immigration fraud. I am not playing. I am not trying to frighten anybody. You are better off in that, whatever status that you are in, you are better off in that one than trying to get in work authorization. Okay. So before you do anything, make sure your documentation prescribes to the legal language of whether it be asylum or whatever it is. Nobody cares about the pity parties in Zimbabwe. Shekuti tiriku tirikutambura kuZimbabwe, they don't care. In fact, that one is going to be a red flag. If you're talking about how poor you
Hold on, my Heather.
are,
Abakhulumisa indebele abangazwayisishona uHeather uthi yena akubala ndaba lokuthi ngakini liyahlupheka kakhulu. EZimbabwe kuyahluphekwa. That's not grounds for seeking asylum. Go ahead.
right. So make sure that you understand, in law, we call it the elements. You need to know what the elements are. Asylum has elements. You need to meet all those elements. The most important thing is you need to be able to answer what actually happened, why it happened, who did whatever it is, and how did they do it. You need to be able, per every reaction. A lot of people, they rush to say, oh, I was harmed. They came and they attacked me. But there is no substance. You need to be able to show credible fear. You need to make sure that if you say it's a political opinion, need to make sure that that political opinion comes out. Some people, they come to me and they say, well, I wasn't really part of CCC, so why are you filing? Some people, they don't even know the political, what's happening in Zimbabwe. And I mean, I'm like, why, what is it? What are you afraid of? So as attorneys, we are here to guide you into the elements. Attorneys are not there to help you with your story. You come with your story and you own it. Okay. You are responsible for it. And come with a story that makes sense, that is detailed, where if I start asking you questions, you're able to give me all the details of your story, not general things. You are not looking for advocacy. We're looking for evidence. Evidence is what they need. They don't care about how good you can write your stories. They don't care about your family and how you grew up, whether you were a Christian family or whatever. They really don't care. They just want to know whether you've met the elements of asylum. And a lot of people, they are struggling in that. So I'm talking more about asylum because a lot of Zimbabweans, that is the one that they come with. So, and I want to stick to Pastor T's questions because we don't have a lot of time. So as I mentioned, if you if you're rushing to file your asylum, and then once you've done your filing, now you get an interview, now you're scrambling to find somebody to help you. That is a very risky way of doing this.
Mm.
Before you file, seek an attorney. Like Pastor T said, there are several attorneys in our community that will understand you, that will maybe be able to speak to you in Shona or Ndebele. Go to those, if you can. I would say that should be your first place, right? Um, and be very truthful so that they can help you about your travel history, about a lot of background, because I'm telling you, USCIS is checking everything now. They're even checking your documents. They are making sure that those documents
Authentic.
are authentic, because if they are not, you are going to be in trouble. They are checking. I'm telling you, they are asking, where did they come from? If they were sent by email, in that interview they will want to see that email. Okay, so don't have these fly by nights people that prepare documents. Please do not. And I can see it coming where even the phone numbers that you give, the MPs that you're giving, they might even reach out to them and ask them, you know? So be very careful. Those medical reports, they're looking at them, they're searching, I'm telling you, those, your injuries, they are making sure that you're telling the truth. Your affidavits, everything, they're looking at it. So that's why it's important to get an attorney and make sure that you're building a house, right? When you build a house, your foundation must be good, because if your foundation isn't good, it's going to be very difficult to try and build that house. So start off with a good foundation. Um, I'd made a few notes. The other thing is, okay, I'm going to talk a little bit about immigration court. That
Mm.
one is a big one right now. There are a lot of people in removal. When you go to the judge, okay, I'm going to give a little story about someone that came to me about a few weeks ago. So they had an asylum application, and they quickly did the I-589. There were a lot of things that were left out. They actually had an attorney, right? The attorney did a lot of work in terms of the paperwork, in terms of, maybe they had affidavits, but the I-589 maybe that the person had done before,
Mm.
it had blanks. Believe it or not, the judge did not even look at the other pages that were there. When they looked at the I-589, they threw it out. And the person is now in deportation. And they came to me, but they had another attorney. And I said, I can't, there's nothing. You have to work with the attorney that you have. The other thing that I want you to do is, even when you have an attorney, if you secure me or any of the other attorneys, make sure you read everything
Mm.
that before the attorney submits it. Make sure you ask questions. It's like even going to the doctor. You don't go to the doctor and you just rely on them. You do your own research. It's okay to ask questions. It's okay to even challenge the attorney. Even though when we do our legal training, we are told that we own the strategy, but there's nothing to stop you from challenging what the attorney is doing if you can see that the attorney might be doing it the wrong way. It's your money, and a lot of you are paying real money, like thousands and thousands of dollars. So be very careful. Let me see. I don't want to go into too much. And then some people have asked about traveling. I would say that be very cautious about traveling. We've heard of, I cannot confirm one way or the other, but apparently DHS is now working with TSA to confirm immigration status. There was an incident of a young lady that was picked up by ICE at the airport, so just be careful. Even traveling abroad, just, exercise some caution, even if you have a visa. And the one thing that I want to say finally is never believe that because you've got the greatest attorney, or you've got the greatest evidence, or you've got the greatest situation, that there's a guarantee you can ask the question, oh, so I'm going to win this. No. As Attorney Neil said, these people, even immigration judges, they have wide discretion. Wide discretion basically means that even if they see one thing that they do not like, they can throw it out. Like I'm talking about this judge throughout this whole case because of an I-589 that had some blanks. So all I'm just saying is be very careful. If really an attorney tells you that you do not have a case, do not file. Do not file. Leave it alone. You're better off in the situation that you are than now being in an ICE detention where you are being treated like a second class criminal. You don't want that. I have been to see people in detention and they are not very happy there. It's not a very happy place. So, with that said, that's all I can say is that unless if there's anything else that Pastor T would like me to speak about. You're on mute.
I appreciate the candor by which you are informing us, because there really are a lot of assumptions and a lot of as you are saying, for most people they are thinking better do a work permit, do a work permit, and so they rush into thing. And once you rush into that application, kuzogadzirisa, especially in the interview, when they start asking you questions and then you start saying no. It's very difficult once you are right in front of the officer to now want to clean up whatever it is that you sent many months, maybe years ago, and just because you rushed on getting this work permit. I get it. I listen. We've been through it too. We are all immigrants. I was undocumented for 8 years, so I get it. I get the desire to start working, and maybe vamwe muri kuti, let me work quickly pamwe zvikanzi endai at least ndawana mari. But trust me, it does catch up with you. It does catch up with you. Yes, Mr. Niels.
I wanted to add something quickly to what Hannah mentioned in terms of the proceedings in immigration court. So there's this new policy that came out, I believe in the summer, that gives the immigration judge the power to deny you the merit hearing or the individual hearing. So and then they will usually do this on a motion filed by the government, by the Department of Homeland Security. So, and pretermission simply means that if the judge, before the hearing, before you get to present your case in court, the judge will look at your case. If they realize that you don't have a strong case, they can deny you the final merit hearing. So you will not even have the opportunity to present your case. I know we're talking about the how to present your case in court, but even before you get a chance to present your case in court, the judge can pretermit, essentially terminate the case before you get a chance to present it to court. So it's important. And then I know that usually, and what most attorneys do, so they file the application and then they will wait for because the court will assign a deadline and they wait for the deadline to file evidence. So it's really important during that time between when you do the initial filing and then you wait to file evidence, DHS can move the court to terminate, to throw your case out of court because you do not have evidence. So anyways, just wanted to add to what Heather said, that this is actually a real policy. And I've actually seen, I was talking to someone yesterday that has been impacted by this, where DHS made or submitted a motion for the judge to terminate the case, and the judge ended up terminating the case before they got to the final hearing. So.
Okay. Mm.
Excuse me, this is Annie. For Niels, do you allow me to ask a question here?
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
When the terminate a case before even you have the time to submit the evidence, they will notify you or they don't notify you? You can be only cooked by the ICE. Are they notifying people that don't expect the time set for you to bring the evidence? It's over for you.
Yeah, so yeah, they're notifying. If you have an attorney, then the notice will most likely go to your attorney. If you have your address updated with immigration, then they will send it to you. So they will notify you.
And at that time, could you say, okay, because it's over, can I deport myself freely? I want to leave like in 1 month or 2 months.
It's a very tricky situation. Yeah, you can apply for it's called voluntary departure, but you need to work on it with an attorney on that because they can deny voluntary departure and then just detain you and put you in removal. So it depends. So they can it depends on your case. They can grant voluntary departure, they can also deny it, depends on the case.
Okay, thank you.
Mm. Okay. So please bring in your questions, and while I'm going to give you some questions that came in. Let me see. I know, Heather, you kind of touched on it a little bit in terms of travel. So this is a question regarding safe travel. So this question is, it says, is it safe to travel domestic flights if you have your EAD and waiting for the interview date for your asylum case?
Do you want to, Attorney Niels, do you want to tackle that one? Because the thing with that one is it's very tricky. It's I will give you an example of one particular individual. This might have happened to a few people. So it depends now. So you're in F, you have your it says you have your EAD, you're waiting for your interview, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But you're out of status already, correct? That's what it
Mm,
sounds like. So that one is very tricky because there have been people that have been picked up by ICE, but they were towards the border, you see.
mm,
So now sometimes what happens is you are just arrested and then they don't ask questions, so I'm not saying don't travel, but if you're already out of status, their reason for, because this is what can also happen. Once let's say, for example, maybe you were an F1 student at some particular time and then you went out of status. So they will
mm,
quickly look that up. Okay, but you've got an asylum you've got your pending asylum, you've got your EAD, but there's already a presumption that you've already committed some immigration fallout, right? So that might be their reason for picking you up. So it depends with the circumstances. So I don't want this to seem like I'm giving legal advice, but to be on the side of caution is always better if you know that you've already overstayed your visa. Because we know that right now ICE is picking up people. and your situation, there might be a reason why you're especially vulnerable at that point.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate thing. Again, to kind of reiterate what you're saying, is that I think sometimes people think that ndazogadzirisa zvinhu saka ndabo. Whereas right now, with what is happening with our current situation, with our current administration, it seems they are finding more reasons to get you out than they are to keep you in. So, as you said, exercise some caution. If you have done some things in the past, just stay put until all your paperwork is in place. Just another. I think one of the other thing that I am noticing also is the impatience. People are vanhu mazimbabwe nekuti kumba katajaira kuti mamanje zvitoitika izvozvi, right? And so that mentality, we are bringing it here and it does not work. There is no instant immigration process whatsoever. It does not matter what you're applying for. There is nothing that is instant. Everything has a waiting period. So
And just
patience.
to add to what you are saying, Pastor T,
Mm-hmm,
it's especially people that have, their year is coming up. Now they
mm-hmm,
want to file for asylum. I've got, a month left. I want to file asylum. And, now they're rushing and everything. So
mm-hmm,
I would exercise, like we've said before, just because someone was granted asylum doesn't mean you have to, jump on the bandwagon. Do
mm-hmm.
not. Do not.
Right,
Mhm.
right, absolutely.
Take time to think about it.
I'm going to switch over to you, Mr. Niels. What is the policy intent behind increased scrutiny?
So I'm going to stick to what the government has said. So a few things that the government has mentioned includes national security, that they want more vetting to ensure that the people that are being admitted into the country do not pose any threats, safety threat or national security threat to the U.S., but also the integrity of the program, immigration programs. Um, and then, there have been also some economic arguments made, especially around the H-1B program and other business immigration programs that, the jobs and that go to foreign nationals should go to U.S. citizens or American or lawful permanent resident or green card holders. But I should maybe also mention that research shows that immigrants address or help with labor or fill in labor shortages in critical industries like medicine, education. So there is a body of research that shows that immigrants and African immigrants contribute to the economy, to society. So anyway, so the arguments go from national security, public safety to economic incentives or interest.
Thank you. Now, Heather, over to you. In that same band, how does that intent show up in adjudication?
Okay, when you say how does that intent? Yeah, that's an interesting question. So, for the Zimbabwean sector, we're not really, I mean, I think we talked a little bit about the economic circumstances. There's a lot of, I would say that for us, it's not so much the security.
Mhm,
We're not known as, people that are violent or that are, seen as terrorists.
mhm,
But There has been a push for our government to secure, whether it be our vetting processes in Zimbabwe, the Zimbabwean government. So they would say that those things would put the United States in danger,
Mm-hmm.
even maybe the way they vet people coming into Zimbabwe,
Mm-hmm.
and how they partner with other countries that are considered dangerous. So I wouldn't say that I have seen that come up as such in whether it be interviews or in immigration court. I cannot say that for Zimbabwe, but I would think that what is making our country appear on the partial ban list is it could be to do with our policies, the policies of the government. Not necessarily that the people have been seen as unsafe, are only probably the thing that's happening. I mean, even if you look at the percentage of overstays, in my opinion, I think it's a very low percentage. I don't think it's something that is, if you go to immigration court, for example, for those that have been to immigration court, how many people of our color do we see?
Mm.
It's not a lot. It really is not. You see a lot of people from, the Latin speaking countries. That those are the ones that you're going to see that. So I wouldn't say that this is, and then if you look at the people that are coming on H-1B visas, uh, they're mainly from India, and not from necessarily Africa.
Yeah.
So I just am at a loss for why this is impacting us, and I'm sure a lot of people are. I don't know if that answered your question.
Well, I think it's important though sometimes I don't think that it's being done haphazardly.
Hmm.
I'll give an example, like for example, and again, and I'm not saying that this is exactly what is going on, but it could speak to what's going on. I think that the challenge that we have is that to make an assumption that there is no backstory or there is, oh, what did we do? We didn't do anything. But eh, I'll give an example. Many years ago, we used to have conferences, right? Different conferences happening, and people coming in through the conference, and they will come in for the conference, but they don't really attend the conference. Instead, they overstay, and then or they change from their non-immigrant visa into something else. And so these things were happening so much to the point that some of the entities that were inviting people were blacklisted. So they are no longer now able to do that. So I think that they have data. Just as you were saying, ukapuwa form, wofila, copy and paste somebody else's story. And seven other people copy and paste that same story and presenting that story. At some point, this red flag starts coming up. Because surely, while certain things are happening in our country from a political perspective, it does not necessarily, when you say, I was ndakarohwa musoro kulefti kairi and ndikaita two black spots and all that, and then somebody else comes with the same information, same time, same everything is happening exactly the same way. At some point somebody's going to raise a red flag. And the more, and also some of these frivolous applications that some people are doing, it's data. They are collecting data. And at some point, it is going to impact us. As much as we may say, not too many of us Zimbabweans are here, but even if there is 5 of us here, if 3 of us are misbehaving, it's data. It's still data. So the best is to stick to what is correct, to stick to what is right. And like Heather said earlier on, go and talk to an attorney. Even if you complete your own paperwork, you're trying to save money. And I know it's expensive. It can be expensive, but it's better to have that expense and be on the right side of the law than to save that money and end up being on the wrong side of the law. So even if you decide ngatithi uthi vari kubhadharisa $100 inini I want to save ndoita my own paperwork and then ndozongobhadhara $50 to review, that's fine. I mean, that's if that's how you want to do it. But at the end of the day, still have some conversation with my professionals out there, because you're just going to be shooting yourself in the foot. So it's not that there is no data. We don't know the specific reason. Maybe Tiap Uzwa, maybe Atuzwe, why we got put on the list. Remind you, Zimbabwe has not been put on many lists over the years. And so for it to have landed on the list, it means kune data. Kune data. And remember,
And I agree with you. Maybe there was there was let me clarify the reason why. Yes, and that's the reason why we're having this discussion, as far as people being very careful about submitting their petitions. However, when we look at the data, I do understand that there's a lot of fraud that is probably going on with the Zimbabwean community as well, and there's something that they're seeing. And one thing for sure, there is a reason why they moved from the Zimbabwean embassy. Now interviews are being held in Johannesburg. I suspect the reason is because there was probably something going on in those offices,
right.
and there had to be investigation into it. Yes, in the past few years, probably within last year and maybe post COVID, there has been a lot of Zimbabweans that are coming, especially for conferences, and even let's say they find like a sports thing where they're coming as a group and they're pretending that they're coming for that activity. And that could be something that has made Zimbabwe now very visible, Zimbabweans very visible as, okay, these people are coming for conferences and they're coming for these meetings, they're coming for, and they're not going back, But what I'm just specifying is the fact that when we look at the overall picture of how many immigrants are coming into this country, Zimbabwe is like a drop in the ocean.
That
It's
is true.
not, yeah, that's all I'm just saying.
That's true. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. And let me take a question before I come back to you, Mr. Niels. Let me take a question from a one of our guests. Let's see. Okay, which one shall we do? Okay. Advance parole, a travel document. Is it okay to travel domestic?
So,
I
uh,
think, go ahead, Mr. Neil.
okay. Or maybe Heather, you wanna take that? I'm also happy to take that. But anyways, so advanced parole is for it's typically a travel authority. So wait, so the question is about domestic travel, like travel within the
Correct.
US? Well, I think Heather mentioned that TSA. So if you're traveling within the US, you don't have to worry typically about your immigration situation. But recently, and Heather mentioned this, that TSA is sharing information with DHS, with ICE. So let's say you have a removal order against you, or you are flagged somewhere in the government system. So uh, DHS will get your name from TSA, because when you buy a ticket or register to travel, your information is sent to TSA, and TSA is forwarding that information to DHS. So DHS will check that list against anybody they have in their system or in the list, and then, if you are flagged, then, they can go after you. I think also Heather mentioned an instance where someone was arrested and later on deported because they were flagged. Their information was shared from TSA with DHS. So, does that mean that you should not be traveling? Does that mean that you should avoid air travel? I mean, this is something that you need to discuss with your attorney, but at least you should be aware of that. So
Mhm.
far, what I've heard is that they're targeting people with like, removal order. I'm not sure if they're like targeting people who like, do not have any removal order or they are not flagged for any like criminal issues in the government system.
Okay. Mhm. Here's another question, and to you, Mr. Niels. This is a question on the R1 visa.
Yeah. Our visa. Yeah.
I mean, the question that was posed is it's too personal. So I want to encourage that individual to please reach out to an attorney. But the overall, any policies and what it is, and can you please share in general what the R1 visa is and what it's for and how one can utilize it?
Yeah, I've not done many of the R visas, but I've done a few. So R
Yeah.
visa is for people who come to the US to do religious work. I think the validity period is about maybe 2 years.
Mm.
But it's a petition that's filed by your employer, who an employer in this case would be a church or religious organization. And then you have to show there's a few requirements there, but you have to show that you're part of the organization and then you meet the qualification requirements. There has not been any change to the program, as far as I know. Heather, I don't know if you've heard anything about the our
I
visa
haven't either.
program.
Yeah,
Okay.
so if you look at that list, sorry, actually I was talking to someone about it this very morning, who is a part of is a pastor based in Zimbabwe. And when I looked at the list, it had J1, F1, M visas, but it didn't include R visas. So if I'm looking at that, I'm saying that for our visas, they're still safe. you know, I didn't
They've not
see
been
it.
touched yet.
I
That's
I
true.
did not see it. So
Yeah,
so
you
that
rarely see the R visas being touched,
yeah,
really,
yeah.
at least over in my experience. So, can you talk a little bit about? I know, Attorney Niels, you said that processes are what has stopped. So when you say processes is what has stopped, are we talking about processes for what is being submitted after this implementation or this policy was announced, or processes are stopped, period? Because there are some people who went for their interview, for example, last year or 2 years ago, and they haven't heard back. Are those people impacted as well, or only people from implementation date?
The pause is actually retroactive, so it
Okay.
applies to any application. So they're not issuing decisions for any applications that's pending. So, yeah, so that's the short answer to the question.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
The one thing that I also wanted to mention, and maybe Attorney Niels can correct me on that, is these proclamations. How long they're good for. My understanding is they're good for 180 days. So, because I remember, we were talking about what remains the same, and Attorney Niels did mention that the laws haven't changed. If you understand, these are presidential powers. They are not, what the way that we should look at this, and that's the whole point of having this conversation together, is always try and remember that, like, even as Christians, we always say it should too shall pass. So let's look at it as this too shall pass. You know, just just be positive. I know we
Mm,
said a lot of things that could be scary, but everything is fluid. Things
mm,
change, governments change, situations change. So I would just say, I know this is like one of the worst things that has happened to the Zimbabwean community, but it doesn't mean that, like, just the same thing about asylum decisions. They have been paused. Uh, uh,
Please.
Clotilda, please. Please, please,
Sh-
please. Thank you. Yeah. Just remember, be respectful of others. Other people are trying to listen to this conversation. Thank you. So just because the decisions have been posed, it doesn't mean that asylum, petitions will not go forward. We just have to live one day at a time and see where this is going. That's all we can say.
mm. Yeah, yes, absolutely, absolutely.
All right, one thing I want to mention also in that same vein. So we should also pay attention to what Congress is doing, right? Because remember, uh, Congress can make permanent changes. The administration, the executive order, the executive branch, it's somehow easy to undo some of their decisions. I mean, you've seen that from the previous administration, this administration. So like most of the actions that are taken within the executive branch can be undone fairly quickly, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what Congress is doing will take it's hard to undo. So, but you should pay attention. All of that is to pay attention to what Congress is doing. Like the reconciliation bill, for example, that passed earlier this year, had major changes. Well, if reconciliation bill is technically a budget resolution, so it's not like a
Mm-hmm.
long-term law, but like currently, Congress is voting. Like yesterday, they passed a bill that extend or expand enforcement on minor, children under 18, right? So I think most of us are not paying attention to what's happening there. Again, that was just in the House, but it has to go to the Senate. So pay attention to what Congress is doing because any changes or any action taken by Congress will take us a long time to fix, right? So just
Mm-hmm.
let's add that.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. While I have you, oh, Getty, you have a question? Getty, you have your hand raised. Do you have a question? Okay. So there's a question here. Does it count or help to have both filed for asylum and I-130 as a married child? I'm not sure what is a married child. I guess
Yeah,
it's
so I mean, you can file asylum and then also file. I'm not sure if you're referring to the I-130. So I'm assuming here a family petition for a green card. Yeah, you can file both. However, I want to give.
Zodwa, please, sicela usihloniphe.
I'm sorry, I'm
I
trying
was
to.
on mute.
Uh, okay, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I wanted to ask, I didn't hear properly about the children under 18 years. Can you just repeat it for me? I'm sorry.
Sorry, the law. Yeah, so the law expand enforcement, which include detention for children under 18. And then I'll put the reference to that law in the chat in a minute. But what I was saying is that, so to the question about asylum and an I-130, so I'm assuming this is a petition for green card, a family petition for
Right.
green card. Yes, so you can file both. But one very important thing that you should note and you should keep in mind that when you file multiple applications, make sure that your information or whatever you're putting in is consistent. Because, I've seen, and this is as recent as last month, someone filed for green card, and then in the green card application, they basically said that they were not part of any political organization or anything. But in the asylum application, they put that they're part of a political organization. I mean, you might think that, well, you know what, that information is not relevant to my green card, which is, I think people can make that argument, right? But
Mm,
just they will look at everything, right? So whatever you file, information you file on your green card would be compared on your asylum. They will check, and if they find inconsistencies or contradictions, it can hurt your case, both case, or it can hurt your situation essentially.
mhm.
And then you see people will come to the attorney, and the attorney will request all the information, everything that you have filed. It's actually for that reason, because you're filing when immigration is deciding on your application, they will look at everything. Sometimes they will look at even at your visa application filed overseas. And Heather can speak to this. They will look at the visa application that you filed in your home country. So
True.
always make sure that your information is consistent throughout all applications that you file.
Speaking of information, someone is asking, do they really look at our social media?
Heather, you want to take that? I see that.
Yes, they do.
And
The way
are they looking at my Facebook and my Instagram? Are they looking at those things or tikungochichidzirwa?
they're very serious about that. They
Mm,
are very serious about social media. So just be very careful. I mean, obviously there is a limit to what they can know, you know. I mean, they limits everywhere. But if let's say they get hold of your phone and they say, okay, your phone is right there and you are being interviewed, they're going to have a right to access it. You know, if you're in an interview or in that situation, or you are getting ready to come to the US, you are being, before the customs border person is asking you questions, they've got that right to say, hey, I want to look at your social media.
mm,
So that's where it comes in. Obviously, there are rights that people have, but are those rights being followed? We don't know. I can't 100% answer that question, but just be careful about your social media.
right, right. Here's another question. So there is their parents who have their children who above 21 years old who are US citizens and are now trying to petition for their parents who are already here in the US and are working via, they applied for asylum back when, and then the children turned 21. Now they're applying, petitioning on behalf of their children. So the question is there any policy out there that speaks to children petitioning for parents? And
Sure.
so the other question that they asked is it safe to go ahead and file? No, we are not going to give you that answer. That's something that you have to have a conversation with an attorney so that they look at the full picture. We are not providing legal advice here. We are just giving information. So is there any information out there that speaks to children petitioning for their parents?
Yeah, I mean, children can petition for their parents as long as they're over 21 years old. You can petition for your parents. And it's a lot easier if the parents are here because you can do concurrently, you can file for their green card. Now, if those parents they've overstayed or they filed an asylum, those cases might end up running concurrently, you know. So, uh, yeah, so, the biggest step now is I mean, before it didn't, I don't think it really mattered that someone had overstayed, but now they're looking into it. The interviews that are happening, in some cases where interviews never used to happen. So just be aware of that it's going to take a lot more for approvals to be taken. But the good news from what we're seeing on the ground is that the green, like let's say your parents come and visit, of course they need to stay for maybe 3 months at least before you start petitioning for them. Once you petition, it's taking less time. But the other thing that we're hearing is that now they're going to be looking more at the parents' uh, health conditions, like if they've got, specific morbidity issues. I hope I'm using the right, medical language. That
Mm-hmm.
might be an impediment to their getting, the petition approved. But
Mm-hmm.
definitely, if you're over 21, you can petition for your parents. Now, what happens, like, remember, we always talk about the discretion that officers have. Now, we can't give legal advice on a particular situation, but we can say it is allowed in terms of the immigration law.
Yeah. Okay.
Hi,
Getty,
hello.
Getty,
Yes,
you have a
so
question? Go ahead.
yes, sorry.
Go ahead. You are muted.
Oh, I'm sorry. I had posed a question on the on on the chat where when we're looking at the restrictions that are currently in place, the language is very confusing, and so maybe the lawyers can help us, the attorneys here can help us. Thank you so much for the information that you've given so far, by the way. So there is that part that says that current visas are still valid, are not going to be cancelled, according to how I'm understanding it. But then they go on to say that consular offices can can reduce the validity of the visa. And so, many people are kind of caught up in whether if you have, like, let's say a valid F1 visa and you're out of the country at this moment, do you have to come back before the first, or will the border officer then say, oh, this is not valid anymore? Because like the document on the White House website is a little confusing. And then the second question also that I had paused was for, like, in light of like the recent green card diversity
Yeah,
laws.
wakuenda kure Getty achakunzwa.
Okay,
You're away from the mic.
sorry. Okay,
Mm.
sorry. In light of the diversity lottery, if someone had already gotten the, like, selected, and they were in line to be given like that visa date or whatever it is, does that mean, in light of the recent restrictions, does that mean that, you know, if they don't get that visa interview before the first, um, everything is cancelled? Or does it go back to, that things are going to be processed, but they're kind of going to be pause, like being given the green card, whatever the EB visas, if they're the ones that they come with, um, until like later, it's just really confusing. So if you could help me with those two questions, I would appreciate it. Thank you so much.
That's over to you, Attorney Niels.
Heather, do you want to take that, especially travel ban and the visa?
As far my understanding is, and I want to make this as simple as possible. We've had a lot of people reaching out, asking if they can travel. And my answer will be, because we don't know specific situations, but if your visa is current, as of January 1st, 2026, which is when the travel bans began for, particularly for countries like Zimbabwe, you are free to travel. Now, the problem is, and will always be, what is going to happen when you come back to the United States and you are now standing in front of the customs and immigration officer?
Mhm.
What questions are they going to ask you? What is it that they have about you that they might be concerned about you? So, and we will always say this: it is at the discretion. Now, if you don't have a valid visa, or let's say another question that has been asked is, okay, I have an appointment that was scheduled um, in at the consular office, and it's in, after the January 1st. What is going to happen? We don't know if we know that, for example, those countries that had the full ban. There were some people that were about to go for their naturalization, you know, whether it be interviews or ceremonies, and they were canceled. They actually got cancellation letters saying, don't come. We don't know what's going to happen if they're going to cancel them. If they don't cancel them, you can still go to your appointment. But is the decision going to be entered for you? No, they are not going to enter any decision. So nothing basically is going to happen. You are just going to be stuck because they are saying that these decisions, these processes have been stopped. So I hope that answers your question. If I missed something, let me know.
Thank you. That answers the question. How about like in terms of like green card lottery, like when someone has already won the green card lottery, does that also apply that it's just a waiting game for now?
If they're outside the country and they have, I have not really done anything on green card lotteries. So to be, fairly transparent on that. But if that involves going to the consular office trying to come here, that would be on hold as well.
Agreed.
Okay, thank you.
Sokomrewa, you have been very patient. Go ahead. Sokomrewa.
Hello,
Oh,
can you hear me?
yes, we can.
Yes, ma'am. I had a question, and thank you very much for all this information. Um, so my DACA is currently pending. I tried to apply last year or renew last year. Unfortunately, I had let my DACA expire before I renewed. So in my attempt to renew, they said it's considered an initial application. Um, and due to financial hardships, I tried to extradite it, but they keep denying it. So I was wondering, what is an alternative that I can go about, um, getting getting. I really need my driver's license, so I'm trying to see what is the how can I bridge that gap.
Yeah, I can take that. So yeah, you're right. DACA, but that's a case specific question. But
Right,
DACA has been so they're not taking new applications for DACA. But the short answer to the question regarding your situation is to sit down with an attorney. They will have a bunch of questions for you and see what you qualify for. Okay.
right.
Okay.
Yeah. Meme, go ahead. Meme, you have your hand raised. Go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question.
Oh, sorry. Can
Meme?
you hear me?
Mhm.
So, can you
Yes,
hear me? Sorry about that. Thank you for this platform. Thank you for the information. It's really helpful.
praise God.
Just clarity. I know you've addressed this question somehow. I think I joined in late, so I'm still trying to get my head around the new changes, the new
Mhm.
restrictions. So I'm the one who posed the question about having applicants who've already applied and they've got the interviews in Feb 2026. So, what restrictions am I looking at in terms of the application process? And also, if you can clarify a bit more about what's the best way forward. I know you can't provide legal advice, but in this case, with these current restrictions, what would be the best way forward? Would be appreciated if you've got any ideas of the way forward from here and how they are affected with these new restrictions.
Once again, very specific to your specific situation. But again, Attorney Niels and Heather can chip in on this. If
Yeah.
you have received communication and you
So
have
so
been given, go ahead, you have been given a date and you have not
Yes,
received
yes.
anything to the contrary, I would say keep that date. Go to your appointment. Don't ignore it and say, oh, because what is happening in the out there, go for your appointment. If you already have an appointment set for whatever that date is, make it. Make it and make it on time. Mr. Niels and Heather, I don't know if you wanna.
No, that's right. I agree.
I
Okay.
agree as well. Mhm.
Are
Oh,
you
hi,
answered, Mimi?
hi, this is Annie. I have a question. If you feel like
Can
you
you hold
want
on a
to,
second, please?
yes,
Whoever is
sure.
speaking, can you hold on, please? Meme, are you answered?
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Just go ahead and with the appointments. Is that right?
Yes.
Unless if, for example, they cancel, but just everything is normal. Yeah.
Until you receive tsamba ine chidindo cheikoko.
Okay, makes
That is
sense.
specific to you. Keep on
Yeah.
doing, keep the appointment. If it's a biometric appointment, go for the biometric appointment. If it's an interview appointment, go for that interview appointment, whatever it is. Vakati. If they ask you to present extra documentation, present extra document. Whatever they have asked you, respond to it. But at the end of the day, bottom line also is do not neglect talking directly to an attorney because they will look at your situation in its entirety rather than what you are giving us is just a small portion of what you are not understanding. But you want somebody who looks at the entirety of your situation and provides you with proper information.
Yeah. So this appointment is in South Africa and it's just a visitor's visa. Same.
It doesn't matter where it is, my dear. All we are saying is if you have received documentation of go to this place for this appointment, go for it and until you have received unless you have received to the contrary.
It's so helpful. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Mimi, Mimi, you have your hand raised.
Yeah, I've already had
Yes,
a go. Thank you.
yes, please. Yes.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Thank you so much, Pastor.
Oh, you're
And
welcome.
both our attorneys, you've been so helpful. I've got a question that has already been answered, but I've got one more coming. Um, so I just wanted to find out, because of this new law that was, or I don't know what policy of the Zimbabwean being suspended and all that. I just wanted to find out. It's pretty much confusing, but if let's say, for example, there's somebody that's graduating and they had already planned, they were filling in their DS 160s and like the family, and they wanted to come in for their graduation around May next year. Is it okay? Would you advise that they continue with the applications for the visas? Or they might highly likely not be allowed? Is it an exception that can be understood that is worth trying for, like going for or not? Thank you.
Yeah, that Neil.
Yeah, I'm assuming that the embassy, I'm not sure if they will close down the application. Like if you're applying for any, I think the website, the embassy website will still be open. I think people can apply there, but they will not grant you the visa. So most likely. So they will most likely receive the application, but based
They
on
won't process.
this executive order, then they will not issue a visa. Heather, anything to add?
Sorry, I've been so busy trying to answer some questions because I know we don't have time, so I might have missed. What was the question again? Sorry. I was just trying to answer some questions that we could quickly.
Whether or not one should still apply for an visa based on the fact that they are inviting their parents to come or their relatives to come for a graduation that's going to be happening in May next year. Should they still continue to go and apply for that a visa at the local embassy? Zimbabwean embassy is closed.
Yeah, the
But
Zimbabwean embassy is closed. I mean,
if
they
they
can
want
try.
to venture into the next country or whatever, they are saying so. Neil basically said you can apply but the process is what is at the end right now, is what
Yeah.
is paused. They have not paused applications. Even here in the US, and I believe Neil also said it, but I want to reiterate it. Even here in the US, for those of you who are applying, say for asylum, for example, asylum has that caveat, right? 1 year. You have to do it within 1 year. You don't stop applying. You wanna still keep in you still want to keep yourself eligible within that 1 year. So
Right.
don't stop applying because the applications are still being accepted. It is the process, so that what is going to delay is the process time, not necessarily that you cannot apply. And I believe Neil said that in the beginning, but I understand that sometimes people came in later on. Okay, Cody and Doreen, I'm going to come to you, but I want to answer to ask some questions that have been in our group, in the chat. So, H1B application decisions currently paused, and what happens once the 240 days have passed before approval? Does that require leaving the US?
I'm not
I
sure I
think Neil
understand the
can.
question. So, oh,
Huh?
but Heather, you wanted to go?
Oh, go ahead. No, 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 no. Go
Mm.
ahead.
All right, so I'm not sure I
No, go
understand.
ahead.
Yeah, so H-1B visa is not on pause. Again, H-1B visa is based on lottery, and the lottery usually opens around March, and then by April, then the government announces lottery result. Now, if you're talking about the 240-day, is that what you're talking about, the 240-day rule?
Yes.
Um, so if you're talking about the 240-day rule, if your H-1B, let's say your H-1B visa expires and your employer file a timely extension. So timely means that they file the extension application or the renewal application before your expiration date. So while that application is pending, you can continue to work. Now, with H-1B visa, you can premium process, and this is very, very important. Premium process means you can pay an extra fee and get a decision in 15 days. So that's something that I would encourage you to explore with your employer. So with your H-1B petition, if they can premium process, even if it's been pending, the employer can submit. I think the form is 907 form, and then pay an extra fee, which is I think 2,500 if I'm not mistaken. And then you get a decision in 15 days.
Okay. So for anyone on, thank you, Neil, Niels, so for anyone on F1 and is from the banned countries who had gone for holiday, should I come back before January 1st?
As soon as possible.
Okay. Uh, is it safe to travel to Ranamari? Okay. Is it safe to travel to adjacent islands, e.g., US Virgin Islands, with an expired F1?
I think Heather
No, it's
answered
not.
the question.
Yeah, I already answered the
Oh,
question.
you
I'm
did?
just,
Oh,
yeah.
okay. So, okay. So let me see what other questions have not been. The other reason is there are some people who are not online. So it's important that we speak them out. But I appreciate you answering it way ahead of time.
Yeah, we just
Okay.
want to make sure that, if there are any questions that might not, I don't know how long this is going to go on, but
Yeah, so
probably, yeah.
yeah, I was about to send you both in a message. If you can text me how much time you can stay on, I would appreciate it. If you can send me a private message and let me know how much time. And also, listen, as we said, this is a loaded discussion and it's not going to finish in one sitting. We can certainly make up arrangements to come back and answer um, and have a Q&A session as continue this Q&A. Okay, is it safe to file for asylum after being in the USA for more than 3 years and went to South Africa twice? And Heather said probably not. However, please talk to an attorney. Talk to an attorney, go to an attorney and have a conversation. Can I change a J1 exchange visa to an H1B visa or any other visa when I am still legal in the US? And the question answer that Heather gave is that there is nothing to stop you from changing status as long as you qualify. That's the other.
Also,
That's go ahead. Go
yeah,
ahead.
yeah, with Jay, there's a 2 year home residency pro. Heather, do you want to address that? Is that
No,
part of,
you.
was
It
that part of what you're saying?
depends. It
Okay.
depends. It depends with the J1 visa that you have. Some have a 2-year residence requirement, so you have to look at your documentation. If
Yeah,
it
and
does,
some
then
have
you've got to go.
conditions. Some have
Yeah.
conditions. So
Mhm.
yeah, they are
Yeah.
conditional. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
So it depends with which one you have.
Thank you.
Okay. I think this one has been answered. We have the one of waiting for applications. That one has been answered. Let's see, what else do we have? Okay, my son overstayed a student visa, though we have already filed his I-30, which was approved in 2020. I am trying to find out why he has to go back to South Africa for his visa interview since he's already here. And Heather said, please consult an attorney first because the I-130 was approved in 2020 and also because your son overstayed his visa. I think sometimes people don't maybe either of you can talk about this. Sometimes people do not um, have an appreciation of overstaying, of the impact of overstaying. And that's why again, when somebody tells you, yeah, Janita, and you have not told them kuti ndakambo overstay, even they are saying Janita based on their own, which they haven't overstayed. So maybe their way is going to be completely different from yours. So it's really important, guys, to kungofonera ngobhadhara $100 ye-consultation unzwe kuti nyaya yako uyoita sei, right? Pane kuti uite zvekugesa. It's just I know kuti people are kind of hesitant to consult lawyers because of funding and stuff like that, but at least pay for the consultation fee and hear what your options are and bear it all out, hear what your options out so that you are given information that you can work with. Okay, and then did you answer this
Pastor
one
T,
on
there is somebody that said, what to do? What do I do if someone hasn't been called for fingerprints after filing asylum for about a year? I have not heard of that. I have never come across. Usually, fingerprints, you should get your fingerprint appointment
quite
quite
fast?
soon. Yeah, quite, right after you file, within a few days, you should get a notice. So I don't know if they even received a receipt. And also, we don't know if they did a paper filing, because I see a lot of dangers with people when they do paper filing.
Instead of
Letters are
electronic,
sent,
yeah.
yeah, and then, something happens. So,
And then the other thing also, Musa, what can I say? Zvinonzi, tell us your new address. Very important issues here. Tell us your new address because if they still have the old address, they send all this paperwork to the old address. And then you miss your appointment. And then was what and nakumbo receiver, number receiver. As far as they are concerned, they have sent it to you and you're the one who is quote unquote abandoned your own case. So it's really important that you inform them. If ukana uchitya nxa uyesaba ukubanika i-address lapho ohlala khona. If you have a lawyer, utilize that. You can ask for the lawyer to utilize that address or dinga someone, find someone where care of your information can go through that particular or even an entity, an organization, so that you don't miss communication from them. I did have someone who, I did have someone, Heather, who thought they did not receive. It has happened so long ago. They have not received this paperwork, and they have not done any fingerprinting and all that. So, what we did, we called, we sent them we sent a letter, right? We sent a letter to say, hey, can you please let me know? I think I was due for a biometric, but I have not received it. And they responded and they said, as a matter of fact, you did on such and such and such a day.
Yeah,
You
that's
did.
why I'm finding it
And then now you
strange.
can
Yeah,
proceed with the next step. But yeah, reach out to them and see what they have. Maybe you did and you just didn't realize what it was and you
yeah.
forgot, especially kind of tango ya kariba uda.
Raylan,
Oh, so
Raylan,
if you please, uh, my thing is, it's just really important also
I found the
for some
character.
especially if you have your information being routed through your lawyer, be in constant communication with your attorney. It's very important. You don't want to miss anything, and you don't want to assume your attorneys should really be reaching out to you, especially if they have paperwork that they have received and the information communicating with you. But kune vamwe vanenge vari busy busy anosara akabata pasi ndiwe saka nxa ulo lawyer khuluma naye. I know sometimes people munenge muchitya kuti ndozobvunzwa chikwereti, but just have communication and say, is there anything I should be doing? Is there anything pancha receiver here? Once in a while, touch base. Ndiri kunziva mari ndiri kuiziva watoilidha neizvozvo. So nxa ulescoreti loloya wako ungaesabi kumbuza ukuthi kune nto yini eyathunyezwa ngabantu be-immigration ukwenzela ukuthi ungamisi ama-important appointments. Okay, how are F1 students affected in the case that we are done with school and are on OPT and waiting for sponsorship? I don't know if you answered this one, Heather. I'm seeing it in the chat.
Sorry, can you mention that one again? Sorry, because I was busy typing
That's
something.
okay. How
Mhm.
far are F1 students affected in the case that we are done with school and
Mhm.
are on OPT and waiting for our sponsorship?
Okay, I think that one, it depends. I mean, if you're still in status, I mean,
Mm,
and when it comes to OPT, there are certain conditions, right? You've got to find that work within a specified number
mm-hmm,
of days. And if you don't, then unfortunately, you have to go home, you know. So just, the OPT is still there, but from what I'm seeing, it's very hard to get it.
mm,
Yeah. I have seen situations where students now they're out of it and they school is telling them it might be time to go home, you know.
mm,
So that's the only thing. It hasn't been stopped, but
mm.
it's just very hard to get.
Okay. I'm not sure why this question and discussion is resulting in kuno, but let me read it out loud. That Anzi, how are Zim passport holders living legally in Botswana affected by the new policy? The case was approved in America, but pending at consular level. It's followed to.
Yeah, I think it was answered in the chat. So the follow to join for it's an asylum petition, the 730. It should be processed. You should follow up with the embassy. Yeah.
And then how about petitions for children done by parents? Are they processing these when already approved but pending on consular side?
Yeah, so most of these, especially the travel ban, affect mostly temporary visas. So
Mhm.
for green card or permanent visas, they should be processed. So you should follow up either with, because usually what happens when the petition is approved in the US, the I-130 goes to NVC, the NVC send the case to embassy. Um, so depending on where your case is, so you might need to follow up with embassy or NVC. But I've also, as we mentioned here before, there have been significant delays at a lot of the embassies, especially on the African continent.
Mm. So we have about 10 minutes before we can close, and I know that there are a lot of questions that we have not reached out to. I have copied every question, and I am going to make some arrangements for us to come back again. Continue to send in your questions to my WhatsApp number, and I will post it again here so that you have it. But continue to send your questions, so that we can make sure that you are making informed decisions. There's a question that came earlier on, Mr. Niels, that I want to. So this guy is saying, how far true is this? The Trump administration is intensifying efforts to deport people to countries where they have no connections. Last month, US lawyers filed almost 5,000 motions to dismiss asylum cases and force applicants to seek protection elsewhere. True or false?
Yeah, it's happening. So it's happening. So they're either signing agreements with a number of countries to accept deportees. So that usually happens in two instances. One, if you were granted withholding of removal, which is another form of asylum, but it's not asylum. So don't wanna go into it. But if you're granted withholding of removal or protection under the Convention Against Torture, then they will try to deport you to a third country. And then also it happens when you are ordered deported to your country, but your country doesn't want to take you, so they will find another country to take you. So, but it's true that they are expanding that program and signing agreement with a number of countries and some African countries actually to accept deportees.
Mm. When they say the processes are paused, are they also including the I-130 petitions for families within the US?
No, I-130 is not affected.
Okay. Um,
But I
the
just
new
want
pro
to I just want, maybe you can clarify that, Attorney Neil. So if let's say an I-130 is approved here, and then let's say it's a spousal visa and the spouse let's say in Zimbabwe, they are not, I mean, how are they
The
going to
embassy is
get,
closed.
is closed? Yeah. So let's make that clear. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
just wanted
yeah,
to
yeah.
make sure.
And then
Yeah.
also, if you are filing I-130 and I-485 concurrently, even in the US, your I-485 might be on pause, depending also if you are part of the 19 countries. So, yeah.
Mhm. Okay, so guys, please continue to send your questions, and we will do our best to answer your questions. Attorney Niels, so as you said earlier on, that some of these laws are being challenged. When laws are being challenged, does what does that mean in terms of implementation? Does that mean that the implementation continues while discussions are happening in court, or does it mean if somebody has challenged, they put a hold and they are operating from the one from previously, they are operating from the previous law, or what's the story here?
That's a very good question. So it depends. I'll give you an example. Earlier on, I think it was early February, the administration issued an executive order on birthright citizenship. So if you're not born in the US, I mean, if your parents are not green card or US citizen, then you should not get US citizenship.
Mhm.
Now, it was supposed to go into effect February. When the lawsuit was filed, the plaintiffs, the people bringing the suit, asked the judge to pause that decision. And that's why that policy is not gone into effect. Because in some instances, in a lot of instances, actually, the judge will pause the decision while the lawsuit is in process. So the case is, playing out in court. So that's maybe the beauty of our system, our legal system. So we can ask the judge to pause the action or the rule while the case is in process. In some instances, maybe very few where the judge will deny, but in most of the cases, the majority, the judge will, if when requested, because the parties will have to file a motion, will pause the rule while the case is in process.
So what they are posing is what has been is the law or the suggested law or whatever, right? That's what they are posing.
That's why
But
the pausing, yeah.
right. So whatever is being impacted with that, right, do they continue to process it based on the previous law? Because until that one is passed, the previous law is still in operation.
Yeah, of course, of course. Once
Okay.
that's
That's
paused,
what I wanted to
yeah,
clarify.
yeah. Same thing
Yeah.
with birthright citizenship. It's still in effect. So
Mhm.
if your child is born in the US, regardless of your status, they will get US citizenship. So the previous law or rule, it is in place
Still
until
in
we have
effect.
a decision on the lawsuit.
While you're still there, hold on and just quickly talk about the dual citizenship. What is the impact? Or is there any impact, or is just still at this point just discussions?
It's something that the government is looking at. So don't be surprised if you go to the airports that when people apply for naturalization on the form, usually people mention that they're giving up their previous citizenship, right? So it's a legal, it's a binding document, and if you're still using your old citizenship, that could cause issues. So um again, just be aware that the government CBP is looking at that, and that can cause problems.
Okay, so what has been paused, one of the things that has been that we talked about is the asylum application process. If somebody has already been approved and they were now about to apply for their green card, is that paused too?
Yeah,
Since
that
it's
green card
about
is also on
asylum,
pause.
it's also
So if you're applying for green card based on asylum, it's on pause, but they will again accept the application, process it, but they will not issue decisions.
wonderful. Listen, like we said, this is a packed. It's one of those discussions again that just does not. We can't just answer everything in one sitting, but we appreciate the opportunity of starting this conversation, and we pray that God will give us another opportunity to come back again and have a continuous education as things unroll. We are going to continue to come, but in the meantime, don't wait for the next opportunity for a Zoom. Send us your questions. Send us your questions, and we will do our best to answer those questions so that you can make informed decision. Be prepared. Don't get it. Don't hit the panic button yet, but make sure that you are well informed. And if you don't have an attorney, make sure that you have one, especially in these days. Even if you have not paid them anything, for just have some phone numbers in your thing, because if you get caught somewhere and you don't have somebody to call, that's a problem. You want to be able to at least have a conversation with someone waunogona kutaura naye chirudzi chako, waunogona kutaura naye muchinyatsotaurirana, muchinzwanana, uchiti ndasungwa ndiri kuno ndoita sei, motaurirana nikona apa nxa uyinguti aula an attorney but you are still in process, izinto zakho azikabambeki. Ngicela nje uphonguba lama-numbers ama-lawyers awezimbabwe, and then so that ungabanjwa, ungabotshwa, ulayo inamba yokuthi lawe uthi wothi ngifonele uHeather wothi ngifonele uzibanibani so that labo baza kuncedisa bekutshela ukuthi okay yenza lokhu lalokhu lalokhu lalokhu. Don't take yourself ukuthi njengoba ngingela mali ngiyayithini inamba kaloya. Just have it. Just have it so that you can at least get some information of how you can take the next step. Inkosi libusise, ngiyalibonga, sizaphenduka zvakare, tichadzoka zvakare, tichitaudzana, tichibatsirana kusvikira zvanaka, kusvikira zvanaka. In the meantime, I want to encourage you to please pray and be still and know that God is there, and also just try not to allow yourself to hit the panic button every time you hear administration has done this, administration has done this, because I only a heart attack. It's okay. I know it's we get worried. We're human beings. Yeah, you can get worried, but don't allow worry to then put you in a position where you are saying, I'm not doing anything. No. Reach out, reach out, reach out. Lingayekeli ukusifonela, lingayekeli ukusithumela ama-messages. Uma singala information yangikhona sizolidingela siliniki information so that you are operating from a place of informed citizen. May God bless you. May God continue to open doors for you. May God continue to grant you wisdom, wisdom, wisdom. Oh yeah, so my contacts. Hey Heather. Let me see my phone number. The best way, quickest way to approach me is through through WhatsApp. 914-618-8800 +1 914-618-8800, and I'll be happy to also provide you Heather's information as well as Neil's information. God bless you once again, and we will see each other soon. Thank you. Oh, sorry. That's my phone number, 914-618-8800. Any last words, Heather? Any last tip, Heather?
No, I think I think it has been an interesting conversation. Looking forward to more conversations. Thank you, everyone. Be encouraged. Please do not live in fear.
Amen. Amen. How about Niels?
Nothing to add. Keep praying, looking out for each other. We'll make it. But thank you so much, Pastor. And thanks for having me. This was a very great discussion.
Praise God. Praise God. We give God the glory. Once again, this is Pastor T, who has been your host today, and we'll be back again to have these discussions that help us to move to the next step, to the next level. God bless you, and see you again soon. Mwarakije zvakanaka, siyabonga, siyabonga. Inkosi liphathe kahle. Heather and Niels, can you stay on, please, for a minute?
Sure.
If you can. You know what? No, I'll call you. I'll call you.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, it might take a while for people to get off.
Yeah.
Yeah.